Welcome to another episode of CENJOWS podcast series. The theme for today's discussion will be civil-military fusion, and to discuss on the topic, we have the honor of hosting Rear Admiral Deepak Bansal, VSM retired. So before moving on to the questions, I shall introduce our chief guest today. Rear Admiral Deepak Bansal, VSM retired, is a distinguished veteran with a 36-year career in the Indian Navy, culminating his role as Assistant Chief of Naval Staff Material, an alumnus of Sherwood College and Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, and the College of Defence Management. He has held critical leadership positions, including Admiral Superintendent of Naval Ship Repair Yard in Kochi and Director of Naval Institute of Aeronautical Technology. His deep expertise encompasses MRO management, flight safety, and complex engineering required to maintain high-level naval operation readiness. Since retiring in 2023, Admiral Bansal has become a vital bridge between military requirements and the Indian industrial capabilities. He serves on the expert committee for INMAS DRDO, advises the Union Public Service Commission, and is a governing council member for the Society of Indian Aerospace Technologies and Industries. Currently, he operates at the intersection of academia and industry as a professor of practice at IIT Madras and business director at Vishwasis Aerospace, where he guides startups and MSMEs through defense procurement and strategic research alignment. Additionally, he serves as the head of partnership for Thrive Mobility Private Limited, driving innovation and collaboration with the advanced mobility sector. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much, Vinayak. That was a very elaborate introduction you gave me. Thank you very much.
You deserve every bit of it, sir.
Thank you very much.
Sir, so with your permission, we shall head to the questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sir, there is a frequently significant disconnect between commanders' operational requirements and the frontline and engineers' design in the laboratory. So, what do you think? How can we more effectively translate these high-level warfighting doctrines or demands that arise, which are, shaped by decentralized command, contested logistics, and certain asymmetric threats into an actionable technical problem statements that shall, enable SMEs and startup to deliver more modular and rapid solutions?
Yeah, I think that's a very important, pertinent question to ask somebody like me. You see, if you go back in time, you'll realize the bulk of our engineering disciplines used to be civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering,
Yes.
And slowly furthermore offshoots came about. You had telecommunications,
Yes.
IT, etc., etc. But barring that, the core engineering used to be civil, mechanical, and electrical,
Yes.
right? And then these people used to be inducted either in the UPSC, engineering services,
Yes,
or joined defense forces as technical officers, or even joined the DRDO
Yes.
as scientists. Some of us who joined, after mechanical engineering, had not even seen an aircraft. Or a person who was joining the army, he had not even seen a gun, actual live gun, or a tank for that matter. So no military equipment was actually seen by these technocrats, graduate engineering trainees.
Yes.
Now, when they joined these military establishments, whether it be defense forces, DRDO, or through UPSC, MES, etc., it used to be a Herculean task for them to imagine and to contribute wholesomely to the design and development of that equipment.
Yes.
All right, but somehow there was to be a gap, and that gap has remained till date. Till maybe about a year back, you heard of Dr. Satish Reddy, who was former chairman DRDO and secretary DDR&D. So under his chairmanship, All India Council for Technical Education set up a committee comprising scientists, veterans like us in the Army, Navy, Air Force. We had industry partners as well from SIDM, and I think it was funded to a large extent by SIDM, that is, Society for Indian Defence Manufacturers. Now, the intent was what? Intent was to start an undergraduate minor degree in defence technologies. That means you have, say, 160 credits for a person who is doing bachelor's. So 18 credits would be earmarked for defense technology, wherein a person who is doing mechanical engineering, he would be given, he would be allowed to choose about 18 odd credits which are pertaining specifically to defense field, like civil engineering, building of bridges, quickly, or similarly electrical engineering, communication, or ESM, or countermeasures. I mean, you understand what I meant to say. Okay. So this has just come about now. So all the engineering colleges who are affiliated with AICT would have no option but to offer this minor degree in defense technology for undergrad students. Now, how will this happen? What will be the advantages of this? So, come for 2014, when this Make in India, Make for India, Make for the World, and Atmanirbharta push actually, came about. So you realize so many startups. We used to have startups in double digits. Now we have 1 lakh plus. Yes. All are in defense technologies largely. Now, where they employ these people? So now you will have these people coming out from engineering colleges, and they would hit the ground running. So they would give their own perspective to the technology or the system or the equipment that is being designed. So yes, let bygones be bygones. We've had a problem with the military commanders finding a square peg in a round hole. They're not getting exactly what is required to be done. But come couple of years down the line, when you would have these graduate engineers coming out of these portals, and in fact, one more thing is this, that as part of their internship, these young professionals would be sent either to DRDO laboratories for 2 weeks' time, or to a BRD, or to a naval aircraft yard, or to a dockyard. Where would they see the actual system, or the army base workshop for that matter? So they will see all these systems in from the very basics. Yes. So the understanding will be much more deeper. So I'm not sure whether you got your answer or not, but yes, definitely. The answer will take a while. Yes. If you really want absolutely snug fit to what the commander wants.
Yes, like it's quite a true thing, but we have seen certain developments, and we always hope for the best. Yeah, outcomes.
Things are looking up, but it will take a while.
Definitely.
Overnight, if the commander really desires, or if he wants, everything should be hunky dory, that is not going to happen.
Like this,
it will take a while.
Rome wasn't built in a day, so. Yeah. So, like we talk about academia, and without a doubt, it is like a bedrock for modern warfare. But there is also this paradox that most of the research and development that takes place remains theoretical, and to conceptualize it, there are many obstacles, hurdles per se. So, like what structural changes do you suggest within our technical universities that you just mentioned, to ensure that this whole output of this research and development is seen in this directly war-ready doctrines and can be seamlessly absorbed by the final consumers, our defense industry?
Correct. So this is also a very a deep question that you asked, because see, there is no one answer for that. Yes. Let me say, see, these services, the training pattern of a technocrat should be quite different than it is for a person who is a combatant.
Yes.
All right? Okay. You see Army, Navy, Air Force, and you also see MSMEs as the fourth line of defense. Industry is the fourth line of defense.
Yes.
So those people have to be nurtured. So the technocrat who is a part of the military establishment, he has to have a deep knowledge about the industrial setup of the country.
Definitely. Yes.
He cannot be waiting for all the things to come from abroad. Yes, even if it's an imported system, he has to think on his feet, and when the push comes to shove, he needs to find a solution on feet. So this is one part of it. Now come back to the academia part of it. See, somehow academia is making his own music. I'm talking about 2014 and earlier.
Yes.
They used to make their own music. The services required certain things to be done, but we were somehow a little chary about allowing private industry to come to us. We were a little chary about going across to academia. Anything civilian, we used to think, there's some problem. Not because there was actually a problem. We all are civilians. If you see a couple of generations back, we're all civilians. But unfortunately, because how the apprehension or the doubt, or I do not know what, but that was always there.
Yes.
But that slowly is changed now. Academia historically can only make R&D, can only give you a design. They can't give you a product.
Yes.
And small industry historically can only give you a product. They don't have so much of bandwidth to spend into R&D.
Exactly.
But now, it's like East and West and the two shall meet. It used to be a classic case of that. But now what is happening is people like us who have been taken as professors of practice and other domain experts who are looking for second innings, they are trying to bring these two people together. We understand technology, we understand, because being a part of academia, what are their constraints. We go across to industry, we know what they would want. So what we have devised a method that's very interesting for you to know. So as part of academia, we say we do not want any product from you, but you give us multiple designs, because they are IITs, past masters in their own game.
Yes.
Okay, so they can give you multiple designs. Now we go to the industry with those designs and we say, now you tell me what kind of equipment do you have, what kind of machinery do you have. They may not have the latest of the machinery. So whichever design they are able to pick and which are able to translate into something hardware, that design is taken by them. So every time they encounter a problem, the same design comes back to the academic and he says, okay, I'll tweak it and give it back to you. So this kind of iterative action is yielding huge results. I mean, I'm tempted to tell you a few projects, but probably at some other point in time.
Sure, so you can.
For example,
audience would benefit from
So, for example, ALH, the Advanced Light Helicopter, was having some problems. The Advanced Light Helicopter, as you are aware, is in large numbers with the Air Force and the Indian Army. The Navy was the first service which wanted this, but because we wanted so many things in a 5-ton helicopter, those things were not possible, and because of which we were the last one to induct the Advanced Light Helicopter. And even today, it is not a seamless induction. So then what happened? 16 ALH came our way. Now we had to operationalize them. But we found, to our horror, that the ground support equipment, the auxiliary equipment which is required to start an aeroplane or the helicopter from a deck, was as voluminous or as big as the helicopter itself.
Yes.
All right. To carry that kind of extra weight and the space wise, it was, once again, a square peg in a round hole. So this was what was given to IIT Madras. So though historically every HL has got its own research wing. So like helicopter division had its own research, rotary wing research and development center. But this is a low technology requirement of a ground support equipment. So they were looking into design of helicopters per se. So they didn't have that kind of a bandwidth. So this thing was given as a pilot project to IIT Madras professors. So we managed to get a couple of professors from the mechanical engineering, and within no time at all, we were able to give them designs of marinized and miniaturized ground support equipment. And then we went across to these defense corridors. Southern Defense Corridor, Coimbatore is a very rich district about industry. So the industry came forward from there, and now these problems are a thing of the past.
Definitely, sir. Like examples like this will, encourage youngsters to, think out of the box and come out of their shells and venture into these technical domains.
So in this bargain, we also managed to tweak the system of, you have to go for multiple tender, or competitive bidding. So we had a plan called collaborative production. We involved the user, the designer, the manufacturer, the quality assurance guy right from the beginning itself.
Yes.
So when he proved the prototype, automatically the repeat orders would go to the person who has developed it. So this question of that we develop something and the orders don't come to us was also eliminated.
That's good news to know.
Yeah.
And I hope more and more such examples will come in our way. And ultimately the aim is to make sure that the final consumers gets benefited.
100%. So Vinayak, one more thing is that we have this habit of probably saying this is not happening, that is not happening. The podcasts like this, not with people like me, many more people who are there in the field, and they sharing the success stories, how they have managed to tweak the system without trying to bend any rules, I think would go a long way.
Definitely, sir. Definitely, this would encourage the audience to know what gets involved and how are things shaping up.
Yeah.
And definitely, live example from someone who is in that particular domain would definitely be a long way.
That's very well said.
Yes. Like
Very
we spoke about MSMEs, as you mentioned, MSMEs being the fourth line of defense and
Absolutely.
startups. But most of the time, and even in my personal experience, whenever we interact with those sector, one problem they always say is from their conceptualization of their prototype to the final inducing it to the customers, they find the road is filled with more obstacles. Like there is a word that most of the private players use, the value of death. And yes, of course, to resolve these kind of problems, many initiatives have been taken, for example like IDEX, but they say that the aim has not been fulfilled as they were hoping that it would. So how do you think, like what are the changes that you think would be way to go to address these value of death problems that are faced by these
this is also a very
private
intricate
players?
question because it has got many facets to it.
Yes.
See, what happens is, as a country, as a military establishment, we have very poor appetite for failure.
Yes.
We don't believe in failures. We think every time the bullet is fired, it should hit the bullseye. Yes.
Maximum impact is
Yeah,
what
I agree with you. I'm a veteran,
Yes.
and I was guilty of the same thing. When every time I wanted success, anything you did, you wanted 100% success. But when you come outside and you see in the civil street, you realize things are not as streamlined or as seamless. They've got their own challenges.
Yes, definitely. Sir.
And we have to have our expectations from our civilian brethren.
Yes.
The civilian workforce, it is the civilian people who contribute to actual nation building. I contribute actually to nation protection,
Yes, sir.
safeguarding, but building of the nation is done by the
By
civilian
them.
workforce, whether it be so. How does it happen? So one, we need to have people who understand all these various schemes. Like for example, you made a mention of IDEX, I'll made a mention of Technology Development Fund scheme of
yes,
the
sir.
DRDO.
DRDO, yes.
So do you understand what is the value of death first? What is your understanding?
Well, on a layman's terms, it is for me that when I think about value of death, I immediately think of those hurdles, bureaucratic delays, and then no proper funding, lack of funding that as I would say.
All right. So
These are the
in
things.
the life of a product, there are two values of death. All right. So first value of death is encountered after say 3 years. When you are doing this TRL1 to TRL3,
Yes, sir. Technology
readiness
levels.
levels,
Yes.
1, 2, 3. That means you have bootstrapped initially, you may have got some seed funding from somewhere, and then you are progressing. But that's the time now you have not been able to, you may have got a prototype, but nobody wants to take that prototype to testing. You require somebody. The venture capitalist is now getting a little, what should I say, nervous. He
And
wants to see the
picky-
money.
Picky also sometimes. They are being very picky.
Yes, the question is everybody wants, he's put his money. Now his 3
Exactly.
years are over here, now things are, so and so is happening. Why my thing is not happening?
Exactly.
So he'll push, or he will want to change the management, the young, dynamic, the startup founders. They have the idea, they are the people, they got hunger in the belly. But this gentleman he's given the money, so he's like, probably I'm unhappy. They are not, communicating properly, or the way his expectation not being met. So he would like to change the complexion of the management. So 3 years is that uncertain period.
Yes, sir.
So that is where you have first infusion. Somebody should come forward. You're reaching this side, and this valley is there. You have to take a bridge, come across this side. It could be a financial bridge, it
Yes,
could be
sir.
institutional bridge, it could be somebody who will tell you what kind of testing is required. It could be academic, somebody who are more domain expert who will tell you, no, this equation is wrong, you can do like this. This is another methodology. This material is not working well. This material can help you out better. So this is the kind of thing required. This is the first thing.
Definitely.
So once you're done, okay, you have transited from TRL3 to TRL4, 5, 6. Now, slowly you're going. But 6 is not something which you can induct.
Yes.
So again, you meet the second value of death. That time, somebody will take this prototype after testing now to mass production. So you require, mass production requires, aesthetic should be very nice. The failure, it should be look very Sufi now, because to be inducted, people like you and me have to buy.
Yes.
Why would you buy something, first, why do you buy Apple product? So that is the reason. So that's another value of death, second value of death. So where somebody again, with the deeper pockets, greater expertise, and willing to absorb some failure, willing to absorb that kind of a delay, comes forward to says, okay, I am your shining in night, knight in shining armor.
Yes, sir.
So he takes you across there. So there are two values of death. But having said that, there's an ultimate scheme in the country today. It's called Technology Development Fund Scheme. But because you see, not very many people know about it. DRDO, despite its own efforts, has not been able to market it so well. And also, our defense finance is another area.
Yes, sir.
Defense finance looks at R&D purely as procurement. In procurement, every penny has to be accounted for. In R&D, you have to allow some losses and some failures to take place. You have to have faith. So same feeling that, industry should have been, one should have faith in the industry, should allow them to, nurture them.
Definitely.
Don't distrust them, because they are the fourth line of defense. So there the problem comes. Defense finance looks at them with the jaundiced eye, saying that, this is a procurement by and large. Your GFR, your DPM, all these channels which are there, those are all for procurement. Very few chapters are written about R&D and how you can do this, accept few losses or delays, etc. So that appetite has to be built in. So now I've made 3 points. Yes. What I said is that people should be knowledgeable about the various schemes.
Definitely.
People should be knowledgeable where you to go a handhold. People should be made aware. Like, for example, you are asked, as the executive, I'll ask my people why the job is not done on time. But have I provided you the right wherewithal to ensure that there are no delays taking place? Who questions for that? And he expects you to pave your own path. That's, absolutely, it's very unfair.
Yes, sir.
If I am asking you to deliver something, I must give you the right equipment, right wherewithal, right tools for it, and keep reviewing. Okay, I should use the position of power, my leadership position. Okay, no, please help him. This is for a bigger cause, but that doesn't seem to be happening. So here, everybody is making his own. Defense finance is running this side, the scientist running on this side, the person who's supposed to be testing guy is running on the other side. Yes. So we have to make everybody come together. So we are supposed to beat these gems into a necklace or into some kind of a, that's how it is all
yes,
about.
So that synergy is,
the civil military fusion. Fusion is required to be done. That is what the challenge is.
Definitely. I hope the audience who are watching this, the stakeholders that you have mentioned, the venture capitalists, the researchers, take some notes. And
no, the government establishments themselves have to look within and say, yeah, listen, what is the end goal? What is the end objective? And the people in leadership position should go extra mile. They should stick their neck out to say, youngsters, for example.
Yes.
If there is somebody in the low in hierarchy, there is a limit to what he can do or she can do. Yes. The people in leadership positions, because they have not been born there, they have gone through the entire same rigmarole. Yes. So they should stick their neck out to say, this guy requires so and so help, please do like this. That's the kind of help is required. Definitely. If you really want, it's a whole of a nation approach. It's not individuals. It's a whole of a nation approach that has to happen.
Definitely, sir. And I hope even the government stakeholders who are
we are all part of the government. Government has come out with various schemes, like but there are so many people who are interpreting in their own way.
Yes.
The government doesn't time to go and review every bit of it. Yes. It is people like us who are in leadership positions who should see this, and we should write about it. We should talk about it, and we should bring it to the fore. This is not happening. Yes. This was promised, but this is far from the delivery.
Definitely.
And these are the bottlenecks.
Definitely, sir. And I would like to interfere here and say that anybody who has any such ideas that sir has mentioned, please, we welcome your contributions and we shall provide you a platform to publish the same. So
absolutely, this is a very nice thought. See, in fact, on my LinkedIn, I am reaching out to everybody.
Yes. That's the kind of thing that is necessary.
I am reaching
nowadays.
out to everybody.
Yes.
You please come and let's see. Because you see, what is okay, you're a science student?
Yes.
Very good. What is the formula for momentum? No, I'm not going to embarrass you. It is mass into velocity.
All right.
So suppose I am moving at a speed of light.
Yes.
What is speed of light? 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second.
Yes.
But I am 1. But suppose you joined me.
Yes.
So become Vinayak plus Deepak.
Yes.
And if Vaishnavi, no, Vaibhavi joined us, there will become 3. So 3 into the speed of light. You can imagine.
Definitely.
3 of us will be achieving far more than what a single person would achieve. So that is the whole purpose. So that is why this mass is very important.
That's a very
So
beautiful explanation of.
Yes.
So like we just talked about civil military fusion models. So is there any like specific policy or like mechanism that you have in your mind that you would like to share with the audience?
Yes.
That can be like retasked to provide the strategic depth and operational resilience that is the need of the hour for our defense forces.
So after I superannuated, I was very fortunate. The present CDS called me to ask for a few ideas, and I gave him an idea which he tweaked. And he says, you see, now that you're part of academia, he had seen some work when I was in the service. So he says, why don't you try and see how you can make a bridge? So, though I was not so his words, Chief of Defence Staff, shows faith in you. So I went back and tried to rally people in IIT Madras. I must tell you here that you see, historically, academic institutions and the researchers, their promotions are not linked to how you link and what product you are able to bring out into the market. It is the number of research papers you publish, in what kind of journals, the number of research scholars you teach.
Yes.
Okay, and then generally your behavior and how you do other extra, the secondary and tertiary duties, and that is a sum up, and that's how you get promoted. So now here I was a person come from outside with probably very regimented thoughts, looking at something good should come out to the country at large, and when you got so much of intelligentsia here, you can solve every possible equation under the sun. What is the problem? Why can't you do it? This used to be the basic question.
Yes.
Till I realized, that's a different world. This is a different world altogether, and you have to become a part and parcel of that system, and then you should try and make a bridge.
Yes.
So it took me some time, but I managed to get my professor at that point, the head of department. Professor Molly was one gentleman. Initially he was non-committal, but slowly he saw maybe, and he says we can attempt and fail, not fail to attempt.
Yes.
This is one thing what he said, and that really stuck with me. I said, yeah, let's make a valiant attempt. So here we started with a couple of professors, and then this HL problems came, and then we started doing this bit. So we were successful with regard to HL helicopter division, and many more projects are on the anvil. But this gave me an insight to create a center at IIT Madras, okay, which I termed it as IQ CDS. CDS because it does not mean Chief of Defence Staff, but it somehow just happened.
Yes.
So it means it's a center for invention, innovation, indigenization, center for defence systems. So wherein what we said was, see, I told you before 2014, the military establishment was a little chary about going and engaging with the private sector, whether it be industry or be academia. But from 2014 onwards, when the government started making these slogans and they really started pushing, also nobody was giving us those equipment, the kind of equipment that we wanted. And even if you bought all those equipment, you can never be independent. Whenever, when the balloon goes up, they can always pull the plug, not give you the source code, not give you certain parts, not give you this and all that. So ultimately, even if you had X number of the so-called sophisticated equipment, after some time they will be just sitting on ground only. You agree?
Definitely.
Okay. So what this center involved was that we would choose a couple of professors, renowned professors, who would have this, who have worked with industry, who are able to, apply their research into something solid, some product. Sign MOUs with this defense corridors. We signed an MOU with, this Codicea, Coimbatore District Small Scale Industries Association. It's an out of the world sector which has all the industry. I'll tell you what all kind of equipment they're manufacturing, but exporting abroad. Not because they don't want to sell it here, but because we are Their order books are full, and those are the people who are wanting. Okay, anyway. So we had here academic professors, we had here the industry partners,
Yes.
we had here domain experts. See, every year, people are retiring by the ton from DRDO, from defense forces, from quality assurance services, from DPSUs, you name it. And there are people who retire at the young age of 60 years of age.
Yes.
60 years is no age. Okay, so these people carry so much of knowledge base, but there is no one to take them. People think, retired and that's it.
Yes.
And they are too proud, too professionally competent to go out and ask anybody. There should be a mechanism. In fact, there should be a directory wherein all these people from various things are written and people have access to them.
Yes.
Anyway, coming back to this, so we had, the professors, we had industry partners, we had startups. There are 350 startups incubated in IIT Madras. So we had startups there as well. Then we had these domain experts, right? And then we had some serving people. That means Army, Navy, Air Force people, serving guys in the rank of, say, group captain or colonel rank, who would be more alive to the, who will be reach out to their respective services. So this together would sit in the research park. So only these chuninda, you understand the meaning of chuninda?
Yes, selective.
Bilkul top class problems which nobody has been able to do, maybe 15-20 problems would come against all disciplines to, say, IIT Madras, this center, IQ CDS, wherein the professors together will analyze along with industry partners, domain experts, and they will say what can be done, and they will earmark certain timelines for this. There would be certain seed money, let's say 50 crores is given by, say, the defense establishment, just to pay the salaries of the support staff and the rent of that system in the research park that would hire, or even for the domain expert. At least you have to give them something worthwhile, honorable.
Agree completely.
So this would be like a magic wand to at least solve out problems, if not 20, Pareto's principle. Even if 2 or 3 major problems were sorted out every year on year, imagine. And then this slowly can be set up at various IITs, NIITs, other research institutions. In fact, at every engineering college, these kind of centers should come up.
Definitely.
But
definitely.
after this pilot project has been successful, and this 50 crores is just as a insurance money, can be taken back.
Completely agree, sir. Like the government allowing the private players to take active part has in a way transformed the sector as we look into it, sir. But like as we discussed earlier also, there is this problem of like modern warfare, as I say. There is this problem of attrition and supply chains also.
Very true.
So like how can we build an ecosystem where we treat manufacturers not just as vendors but as strategic partners.
Absolutely.
So that the battlefield vertical that we are aiming to achieve resilience in is achieved. Like that is one question which always bugs most of youngsters like me also. I can say, like, we see private players and they come up with these problems and they are always treated as vendors. But this partnership angle is missing.
That's an unfortunate part. See, there's a word called euphemism.
Yes.
English people are very, like they would not call, the guy, the janitor, they will be called, he's the knight of the broom.
Yes.
Or they would, somehow give you a good name. But somehow, I do not know why, that's what I said. 2014, before that, we thought we were very chary about reaching out to vendors, and we always look down upon a fellow, veteran who joined the private thing. We thought that he's only there by virtue of his visiting card to get your foot in the door. So yes, but slowly things are, this kind of thoughts are changing.
Yes.
Now, but this is a very important point. So I'll come back to this Coimbatore part. So when I retired and I became a professor of practice, so in trying to, another job came my way. I became strategic advisor to Codicea Defence Innovation and Atal Incubation Center in Coimbatore.
Okay.
It's a small setup which has been funded by or being supported by Atal Innovation Mission of Niti Aayog.
Okay.
So when I went there, there was one Mr. Sundaram. He was the director of CDIC. he took me around to meet all these captains of industry, the bigger captains of industry. So I remember having gone to a couple of them, sitting and waiting for them to give a presentation about what the industry is. They generally were not interested. They were somehow smarting from that, I would not say humiliation exactly, but the raw deal, the raw treatment that had been meted out to them when they came up north to our defense establishments or defense headquarters, and they were the CEOs, the founders having 10,000 crore empire, but they were made to wait, etc., etc. And somehow they didn't have a very good, experience. So when I joined them and there I came, so they took out all the angst on me. He says, whenever we came up north or to the military establishment, we were asked to wait for a long time, and basic things were, they found fault in this.
Yes.
Well, I had no option but to say, yeah, I accepted. I said, yeah, because even I was guilty of the same thing, because that's how the system was at that point in time. There would be, there would be a system. But now that system is slowly changing. This vendor terminology has slowly giving way to becoming partners. And also we are reaching out now. The reach, we have the Army Design Bureau, we have the Warship Design Bureau, we have NIIO, we have a DAD from the Air Force. All people are now reaching out. Okay, so much so that means there is no bandwidth now in the industry. But you see, forces are like this. You go whole hog. Now you're going whole hog. It's like a typical viper philosophy, one end to another end. Now, having said that, what I very strongly recommend, like I said in the beginning, the training pattern of a defense forces technocrat has to undergo a change. They have to be taught more about industry. They have to do internship with industry. If you're an aeronautical engineer, it is not just good enough that you should do internship with the Air Force. You probably should go across to Indigo, you should go with Air India and go and see GMR and see what they're doing, how things are different.
That ground level.
How things are different now. Modern methods. Not every military equipment. There are many COTS equipment, commercially off the shelf equipment also, which pass through stringent testing. Those should be inducted straight away. Okay. So there is no question of the testing part of it. If you have a requirement, just take it straight away. I think that is being done now by the services headquarters, but this requires to be enhanced furthermore.
Yes.
Other thing is this, that you see that any good product that comes out from this smaller industry, like for example, I'll give you, there is a company, I'll not name it because it may embarrass some people. We've been talking about gas turbine engine India has never produced. We have been producing gas turbine engines, small ones,
yes,
10 kilogram force to 50 kilogram force, all being exported by small companies based in Coimbatore. If you were to travel from your place of residence to place of work, you will find en route JCBs.
Yes.
How many JCBs? JCB is a UK company. There's a company in Coimbatore called Bull Machine. That machine is Indian version of JCB, designed and developed here. In 65 nations across the globe, they are number one. But I would not say that 65 machines have not been sold in our own country. I wouldn't say that. Similarly, there are amazing industries down south. There are people who have got science in their blood. GD Naidu's group of companies, UMS. These people are running their own private car museums there. Every car in the world which is introduced is available there privately in this private museum, all in the operational condition. There's a science museum being run by them.
Yes,
so and they're getting tribals, conducting them apprenticeship in their own schools and sending them abroad for internship to Germany, etc. I mean, that's a different ecosystem altogether. So this is our own country. People are doing wonderfully well, but somehow we need to connect the dots. The good story there has to be brought here, and from here is preached to there. And wherever those wrinkles are, those have to be removed by people like us who have started our second innings.
Exactly.
We've got nothing to look forward to as such.
There is this need of pan-India implementation of these kind of ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
in fact, I'm not sure whether are you a student of literature?
Not much.
I'll recite 4 lines to you.
Definitely. Sir.
This, resonate very well with me. Full many a gem of purest ray serene, dark unfathomed caves of the ocean bare. Full many a flower is born to blush unseen and waste its sweetness in the desert air. Simply said, it means jungle mein mor nacha kisne dekha. Matlab, there are so many great people in our own country lying in penny pockets across the length and breadth, and they shine, they do well, but they do not have a platform. Similarly, like the gems are lying hidden in these caves of the ocean.
Exactly,
nobody can go there. Flowers are blooming and perishing in deserts. Nobody gets to see them. So this is the same. So what we are trying to do is, through the civil military fusion, bring all these gems to the fore, give them a platform, give them this belief that we are there with you, and then let's hope
definitely
something will
sir.
kick in.
There has to be a mechanism where we identify such germs and bring them to the front and exploit, if I may use the word exploit.
Harness their capability.
Yes,
harness
that would
them.
be a better. Harness their capability to the fullest, to achieve whatever we are aiming for. So it remains for me to thank you formally, sir, for taking time out of your busiest schedule and enriching our audience as well as us. I came to know so many things today, and I wish whatever suggestions that you have provided, the stakeholders who are watching us will strive to implement them, and this civil military fusion that we discussed about for like past half an hour, 40 minutes gets implemented more and more. So thank you once again, sir.
Thank you, Vinayak. First of all, thank you very much for identifying me and bringing me to this forum. And I hope that what I said resonates with some of the people of your viewers.
Definitely.
I would love to get a feedback from you on
definitely, sir. Definitely.
Thank you so much.
And for our viewers, this episode shall be broadcasted in our social media. So I request everyone to go watch and make the best use of it. And we shall meet again in our next episode. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.